For this project, I hope you like peaches or know somebody that likes peaches. So we'll start off with the fruit, eat the fruit part, save the pit. Welcome to Craft It Sweetly. I'm Deanna. Thanks so much for being here. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create this resin tray using peach pits. Let's get right into it. Once you eat the peaches, you're left with the pit, which is slimy and it still has some of the peach part on it. This is a freestone one, so it released pretty easy, but you're still gonna have some of this left. Now does have a lot of steps involved in creating this, but you can really create some cool projects with this. So the next step we want to clean this pit. So I'm gonna soak it in water. You can soak it in hot water. And then you actually have to take a brush to it. This is the kind of brush that I'm using. It's just a vegetable brush. And then you just want to go back and forth on it after it's been soaking in water just to clean off any of these fibers. And then once you're done with it, you just let them sit and dry. Once the pit is dry, this is what it looks like. And it's nice and clean. It doesn't have any of the fruit left on it. There's going to be variation in color. Some maybe just because the fruit maybe was a little too ripe, so it colored some of the pit. Others just different shades, so that's totally fine. It's just gonna give you a different look to your project. Okay, so for the next step, what you need is we want to split these. So I'm gonna take the pit, and you need to stabilize this. It's a little hard to, you wouldn't want anybody to hold it like this. So I'm gonna just you can use pliers, whatever holds this in place. And I found this wrench which works perfect. I just placed down the peach pit right here. Now if you look at the peach pit, one side has a nice kind of almost groove right for the two halves. The other side here, there is no defined groove. It's just kind of all over the place. So it's this side that we're interested in. It's the one where, and all the pits will have one side that's sharp and one side that's gonna have a groove to it. And that's the part that we work with. As you can see, same thing. This one's kind of all over the place. This has a groove. And the next step is to put the pit down on something that's gonna hold it straight up. If you have some other gadget that's gonna hold it up, perfect. You want to place it in that position. And then the other two things you'll need is a knife. It does not have to be this big, and a hammer. And what we'll do is the knife goes right into that groove. So it's almost like you're trying to cut it in half this way. Please be careful, don't cut your fingers. Your hands should never be near where the blade is going. But this is going to be set down right in here. It's staying position. I'm going to put the knife right into that groove. And I'm holding it in place. I don't want to do the tip because that's a little more unstable. I'm going to use closer to the butt of the knife, or closer to the handle. I'm going to place it in the groove. And then I just give it a nice one firm whack. You don't want to tap it slowly. You want to just kind of go with one hit to it. Because you want to split it nice and clean. Once you actually hit it, this is what you end up with. The pit is going to split in half. Some will not work. There will be some that will break funny, just like this. It was not a clean cut. So you don't need to use this. Depending on your project, you may need it for something, but I want for this project nice clean shells like this. That's what that will look like. So just split as many pits as you need for the project or whatever surface you're trying to cover. And then when you split the pit, you have the seed inside. These peach pits are pretty old. I've had these for maybe 4 or 5 years, and the seed inside is completely dry, so it's just the skin. But if you were to do this for same year peaches, this would actually be a plump seed. That comes out, but as you can see, this split very nicely. and it was just through that one whack to the knife. So this is what it looks like, and having lots of split seeds. These I have not split yet, but that's what you want. And as you can see in this one, for example, some of it was left. You can try and clean this off, but I have enough that are completely flat, and I'm just gonna use those. For this next step, I have a mold. It's a silicone mold, and it's about 10 inches in diameter. And I've taken these peach pit halves, just like you can see them here, and placed them all down. Now with this, I did want to check to make sure that I didn't choose pits that were very rounded, sort of very rounded this way, because then it's going to be a little too high for here, and the resin may not cover it. So I picked out halves that were fairly flat. That way, once I put them in here and I'll add the resin, it's going to be a nice surface area. Now I'll go ahead and mix the resin, and I do have links below for all the supplies. Well, not the peach pits, those you can get at the supermarket, or pick your own at some farm, I'm sure. But I do have links below for the mold and the resin that I'm using to create this project. I mixed a batch of resin, and I do have a link below for the type of resin that I'm using for this project. And once I have this, I'm going to pour a thin coat on here. I just want to make sure that this is sealed before I completely flood it. And at this point, there are some bubbles that are right at the top, so I'm just going to use a torch to get some of those bubbles out. Once this sits for about 4 hours, which is what they recommend on this particular type of resin, then I have another batch of resin which is like flooding it, and then from here I'm just going to flood the whole work area. And then once you have it all poured, then I'm gonna go back over it with the torch again, just to make sure that there are no air bubbles. And then we let it cure. Once this has set, then we just remove the mold from here. Now it does take 72 hours for this to cure completely. Now if you look at the back side of it, it does have the holes where the cavities where the seed was. So I could have poured a little bit of resin in the tray first, in the mold, and then added the peach pits to it. So that way this would be completely filled in. But I kind of like this effect where it's got kind of holes. You can see them right there. So once I have this particular kit came with these two handles. So I would drill, and it does have little screws to put in there. And I would just have to figure out exactly where to drill this. I guess I wouldn't want to drill it right where the pit is. That way I'm not going to have to drill through wood as well. It's just gonna be the resin. So I'm gonna drill holes in this and then put it in, and then I'll show you the finished project. And I attached these two handles to the tray, and to add the accent around the edge of this, I used this type of paint marker, and I just went around. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now next time you have a peach, this is something you can do with the peach pit. So don't throw that out. There's always something to be done with every little piece of it. If you have any questions, please comment below. Would love to see if you do anything with the peach pit. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project.